Hi, beautifuls. How are you today? You want to bake with me? Hey, school just started and all the things. And have you noticed that you fell off baking bread during the summertime? Because it's been excruciatingly hot this year. Not to mention, this summer has been really busy. Is it just me? Or are you experiencing these things too? Yeah, I'm guilty. I completely fell off making bread. I've actually, told you guys that a couple times now. So, give me 1 second. I got to pull this up so I can share this out to where it's supposed to be going. All the way around, right? So, 1 moment. I got to share this. Kids are going out to ride their bikes. All right, so my lovelies. All right, so we got sound. Definitely got sound. Okay, so y'all, I'm baking bread. Like I'm just putting these in the oven to start raising. So I'm gonna get them in before they dry out really fast. And let's talk about how to get back into the swing of baking homemade bread, because we got fall time and the holidays and all those beautiful, wonderful, fun times when baking is at its highest. And let's face it, we all need just a little bit of that little oomph to pick us up during those colder months. And to remind us of how amazing and wonderful that season is, right? Right? Gotta turn that down just a little bit. I got a light bulb like right on top of my head. Okay, pop these in. So, getting back to being consistent with baking homemade breads is not a one and done kind of deal. It takes time, my friend. It takes time to actually go through and get everything sorted. And what works one day is not always going to work the next day. So be patient and kind with yourself, okay? Patient and kind. So one of the best ways I like to do this is actually to start with just one new thing I want to add into my day. And that's it. And that's all I add for like a week. For me, it takes a week. Because what I plan for one day is not something I can always consistently do over and over from day to day. I need time to adjust and move things around in my schedule to make it work. Because what works on, say, Monday isn't going to work on Tuesday for me. I'll plug my phone in, guys. All right. So, I'm going to tell you my secrets on how I get back into the swing of things. And, as I said, be kind to yourself. Okay, my friend? Because we all have those times where no matter how much we try to do the thing, whatever that thing is for you, it doesn't happen. And that's because it's not meant to happen at that time. There's other things that you need to actually be doing or focusing on that you're not focusing on. I'm guilty. I got a lot of them, okay? So, with homemade breads, getting back to being consistent with homemade breads, and you've got school that just started. At least ours just started on Monday. So, getting back into the swing of things. Now, reestablishing our old schedules and all the things that come along with it. Because we need that structure in our lives to keep us and hold us accountable and to keep us on target. And when we're left to our own accord, sometimes we forget that we actually need that. Especially as an adult, we're just like, do I really have to do that? Nah, that's only for everyone else. Not for me. We're lying to ourselves. We're fooling ourselves, okay, guys? And that's the truth of it. We are. So, start with adding one thing in each week, okay? One thing a week, and then take it from there, okay? All right, so for baking bread, that actually might be the prep work you have to do before you can even start making bread, such as like getting your house clean. So take a week to get consistent about making sure your kitchen is clean every night before you go to bed, before you even start trying to make bread. Okay? Now, if you are, hang on. What'd you say, Stone? Yes, I am. I'm looking at the Daredevil right now, in fact. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, getting your kitchen clean the night before and getting consistent about it. Setting that into your daily routine where as soon as you're done with dinner, everyone pitches in and helps clean up afterwards. Now, I'll tell you, personally, this is one of the hardest things to reestablish in our family, because it's one thing for me to establish it in my routine. It's a whole nother thing when we need to establish those routines and that structure into the family, okay? So that requires a lot of clear communication, patience, understanding that everyone sees things different, but just being open with all of it. Open with your feelings, open with what is going on, what needs to happen, what you're trying to accomplish, okay? All right, then switch it over, like the next week, if it's all working good and you're finally getting into the habit, into the routine, because it takes 3 days to reestablish a habit. That's the beginning parts of a habit, okay? It takes a full month to actually like cement that habit into your life, okay? Yeah, it takes a full month, so be patient with yourself, all right? And then next, all right, so then we have getting the bread going. So pick 1 day a week. This is what I suggest for everyone. Start with 1 day a week. Not 2, not 3. I bake 3 times a week, but I've been doing this for years. And even as I'm reestablishing myself, I had to go back, just like you, square one, and start with just 1 day a week. Okay? 1 day a week. Hang on, I gotta put this in the oven. Okay, 1 day a week. So for me, my baking days are Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Take it how it resonates for you and what works in your schedule. When I make bread on Sunday, that means we've got fresh bread to start the week off, because my family makes all their lunches to go with them to school and work. So if I don't make bread on Sunday, guess what? They don't have a lunch for the next day, okay? Homemade bread only keeps for 3 to 4 days in your cupboard, which is actually the best place to store it. However, you can store it in your fridge for up to about 10 days and in your deep freeze or a freezer for roughly about 6 months, okay? All right, so don't be afraid to make extra bread. That way, so when you are in those time crunches and you just can't quite make the bread that day, you can just pull a loaf out of the freezer and put a damp cloth on top of it, put it back in its pan, damp cloth on it, put it back in your oven at 350 and let it stay in there until it's usually about 15 minutes, okay? That's going to rehydrate your bread and keep it moist. It'll be like fresh homemade bread straight out of the oven, even though it might be 6 months old. That's beautiful. So the biggest problem with keeping it in your fridge or your freezer is it dries it out, okay? So when it's frozen, you can rehydrate it just a little bit, which is beautiful, okay? That's beautiful. All right, so start with 1 day. So when I make bread on Sunday, I generally do 4 loaves at a time for my family. Now, right now, we're going through about 3 loaves every other day, well, every 2 days, roughly. So by the time I make bread on Tuesday, I have a little extra. So I've actually been putting away a loaf, 1 to 2 loaves, every time I bake into my freezer. Because I know there are times when I'm not going to be able to make bread that week or on a particular day. Like, let's admit it, life's kind of crazy, okay? It's busy. So planning for the future, but also taking care of the present right here, right now. It makes a big difference, guys. Woo! Spill my flour. Okay, So after you get that one day established into your routine, then you can accurately judge how much your family is going to need and how long it actually keeps in your particular storage situation. So if you keep it in the fridge, you know that you're good for about 10 days as long as the bread lasts, okay? Or like people haven't gobbled it up. Now, when you first start baking bread, everybody's going to want it. I mean, your bread's going to disappear because there's that novelty, that romance that goes about making homemade bread. Y'all, it is so comforting and soothing, and it's just absolutely delicious, all right? Absolutely delicious. Okay? So, plan on going through it a little faster in the very beginning. So maybe instead of just making 2 loaves a week, or two loaves that particular day, maybe double your batch up. But if you're new to making bread, it is easier to start with just a 2-loaf batch like this one, okay? So that is going to help get you a good, healthy, solid foundation under your feet for your continuous baking, okay, in the future, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the future, okay? Even though we're right here in the present, we're still looking at the future, all right? It changes things when you're looking towards the future, not just a 1-week thing, okay? Yeah, if you're like, oh, we got a birthday party this week, so we're just going to whip up some bread and be, and that's it, and never do it again. That's different, okay? Like, you still are kind of planning towards the future because you're like, oh, I got to have this much time to do it, and so on and so forth, okay? All right, so doing that, but also doing things like setting a set time. The best time for me, that works for me, and this is my constant go-to. I always find that I come back to this, even though there are sometimes I actually make bread in the evening, but baking it first thing in the morning. For one, it's a form of exercise, all right? And it's very meditative. Like, meditation's important, guys, okay? Having that down, quiet time, it's beautiful. Like, so this is actually the second batch of bread that I've made, so I'm all full of it. I'm like ready to go. So, but having that quiet time first thing in the morning is so important to having everything straight and just working like it needs to. Hey, close the door. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Oh my goodness, good job. Wow, that's awesome. Awesome. I'm very happy for you. Are you proud? Mm-hmm. Good. That's what I want to hear. All right, so, sorry, y'all. Okay, so when you have that healthy foundation underneath you, that gives you that solid balance in your life. So it's not too much yin, too much yang, or, too much darkness, too much light. It makes a big difference, okay? So, I got a tickle in my throat. All right, so after you have that first day in and you know how long you need to be baking your bread and all the things that go with it and how it works into your schedule, because say maybe Sunday just doesn't work for you, okay? Sunday's a good starting day because most of us have a little more of a down day on Sundays. Now, that's not always the case. I've had moments like in my past when I worked, like I worked Sunday mornings and afternoons, and by the time I came home, I was beat, I was exhausted, but that was when I needed to actually make the bread. Yeah. So I would actually have to force myself to make it, like just hold myself accountable, like it's a non-negotiable. Hey, just a minute. Here, can you say hi? No. I guess my camera's over here. You say hi? Say hi. I'm Ellie. Okay, you can go put your princess dress back on? Yeah? You can go put it back on now that you're done riding your bike? Yeah? She has to take her princess dress off to go ride her bike so it doesn't get caught up in this, folks. All right, so yeah, you get that one day. I keep trying to get this out and it's not coming out. You have that one day and you've gone through, you've made the adjustments that you needed to do, like just a little tweaking here, a little tweaking there. You know, maybe it doesn't work for you to do it this time. You're looking at your schedule and you're going, okay, well, I need like so much time to take care of this. And like you start doing the math backwards. Yeah, that's what I do. Anyway, to like fix these problems in my own life, I do the math backwards, y'all. I'm like, okay, I need at least this much time. And like, this is like, I've got to be at this particular location at such and such time, so on and so forth. Okay? And what works good on paper does not always work in real life, guys. It's just that simple. That's why I always take at least a week before adding each new thing in. And often I actually take 2 weeks, to be honest. Because the first week, it's about trying to get into the habit. The second week is, you know, you've made those little tweaks, those little changes in your schedule that were needed in order to make it actually work and something that is sustainable. Okay? So I like to take 2 weeks personally. But you know what? You do you, boo, okay? Seriously, do you. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. Not even a little bit, okay? I don't know. I don't know. Is it in your room?
No.
I don't know. It might be upstairs too. I think there's one upstairs at your school table.
No.
Well, you'll have to look. I can't tell you past that, honey. Okay? All right. So once you've made those little tweaks and you get it established, then you're able to make those different little routines and changes in your life that need to happen. Okay? And give yourself a little bit of grace, a little bit of compassion. Add it in 1 day each time. So, and that's also going to change in the seasons. Because when you first start baking, everybody's going to want some homemade bread. Everybody wants it. And you're going to go through it like that, okay? I've made bread sometimes, and it has been gone the exact same day. And it's like, what? In cases like that, I generally pull out like one of my biscuit recipes and just whip up some biscuits really fast so they actually have something to make their lunches with. Okay? Okay, I'll get you some. 1 second. So, after... Hang on. I need just a second. Okay, so you have that... You made the changes so that your house is like nice and tidy. For example, like your kitchen's done, like the dishes are done, counters wiped off. Nothing perfect, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. This is real life, okay? You've made those little changes so that you actually can make your homemade bread when the day comes. And it just becomes habit. It's not this thing of like, oh, I've got to still do that. It's like, it takes the stress away from it. What's that? Why do you have to go?
That's what Daddy first. Don't need that.
Okay.
Don't forget that.
Okay.
Then you need that.
Okay. Hop down and I'll get you your peanut butter.
Peanut butter and blue.
Yes, I know. Peanut butter on the spoon. All right. So, get your house done. Then start adding in your bread. On the day of the week that works the best for you. Like I said, my days are Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, but my main baking day is Thursday. That's my main baking day. But I don't actually get really established with baking my homemade breads until I'm doing it every Tuesday and every Thursday. Something about just having that little break in between and like, I don't know, you've got to just hold yourself totally to it, completely, like, it is non-negotiable. This is something that absolutely must happen on that day. Okay, like you've got to like really look at it as if it's almost law. To like hold yourself to it. All right? Now there's a lot of benefits that come from this, y'all. So this also helps relieve a lot of financial stress. Bread's expensive, guys, okay? And when you're baking it at home, it's right around 50% less, okay? All right? So, like most bakers, when they're figuring their pricing for retail wise, it's times 60% what their original base cost was. However, the problem with that is there's no labor costs on that. So essentially, when you bake bread from home, you do it for free. Like, yeah, you just break even, which is a big reason why I stopped selling bread, because, because there's no way I can charge for, a 3-hour job kind of thing. But anywho, I still do bake, and I do a lot of it most of the time anyway, just for my own family. But I also have barter systems set up with other people. So they provide services for me, and I provide homemade breads and jewelry and things like that for them. And we just do a swap payment, and it's beautiful that way, okay? Works beautiful that way. But that is what I have established. And it's not something I'm able to establish with everybody. This is something that you only have happen with certain kinds of people. All right? All right? Y'all, be kind, be beautiful, be amazing to yourselves, okay? And look back at some of the things that you've done in life and just truly celebrate it. Like, it doesn't, at the time, it might not have seemed like a lot, but when you look back over a course of a year and you tally it all up, damn, honey, damn, you're amazing. And I want you to appreciate that. And the more that you step into your own personal power, your own confidence, and really take back control of your life, especially with school starting, the more you're going to be able to accomplish. The more that you can take pride in the things that you're doing, the more that you're able to recognize how much you truly have in your life and to value it. Because without going through these darker times and these retrospection times, such as Mercury retrograde happening right now, we're all looking at the stuff in our lives that we don't really want anymore. And we know it, and we've been denying ourselves the truth of it for some time now. All right? But it's times like this in seasons, and these are seasons. This is like written in the stars, y'all. Okay? Seasons that make us look inwards at the things that we want and the things that we need in our lives. And it helps propel us towards that. So if homemade bread is something that is for you, if it is something that you've always kind of been called towards, indulge yourself just a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of love, okay? And that's a beautiful thing. And you're not going to know if you love it or you hate it until you actually try it. So I teach handmade breads. If this is the first time we've met, my name is Crystal. I am our resident home baker and teacher. I'm also a mindset coach and a jewelry designer and maker here at Milled Artistry. In short, I am the chief creative director and designer here at Milled Artistry. I'm just a good old country gal that just happens to be a little on the witchy side. And you know what? That means there's magic in everything. And that's beautiful, okay? A little touch of tradition, a little touch of history, and taking all those beautiful good parts of our past, reapplying them into our future so that we can reapplying them into our present so that we can reimagine them for our future, okay? And that's amazing. It's beautiful. So take baby steps, y'all, okay? Baby steps. You've got school that started now or is just about to start for you, depending on where you are. School is a great time to kick yourself in the butt and reestablish structure back into your life. Okay? It is a beautiful timing to make it happen. Yes, that's what I said. Kick it in the butt, huh? It's a beautiful time to force yourself back into structure because you have to do that. At least as a parent or even as a teenager or a young child, you have to force yourself back into those key structures that are needed in your life. Okay? Because if you don't, there's there's real consequences that happen. Like suddenly your kids aren't making it to school on time, or homework's not getting done, whatever it is. You know, life will fall apart if you don't reestablish that structure. So adding in homemade bread is the perfect time, the perfect season for that to happen. All right. If you have any questions, if there's anything particular that you would like to learn about when it comes to making homemade breads. Now, me personally, I love to teach and make old pioneer inspired breads. So they're far denser, but they are like nutrition packed, and they are like all full of all the magical spells and just the wholesome goodness that our souls and our bodies need, which also fuel our mind and make us feel amazing. All right, it's like whole health therapy. Yeah, it covers like all the bases. What? Okay, 1 second. 1 moment, I'll get it. All right, yep, I gotta get back at it. So I'm going to continue to make these rolls as soon as this finishes baking, or raising, pardon me. And I've got my batch in the oven already. How beautiful and amazing is that? But reestablish yourself into structure and routine, adding things such as that are beneficial for your home or your health before you start the actual said thing that you're wanting to do makes a huge difference, okay? So whether that is just starting to eat healthier or exercising or going to bed at the same time every night and getting up at the same time every night, even on the weekends, these things make a big difference in our lives. And it allows us to reset the switch and to really get back to being on top of our game and back to who we are as individuals and as a family. All right, my dears, I love you. Remember, you're amazing. And I'm so proud of you. I really am. You are astonishing to me. You are. All right. Make sure you drop any comments or questions down below that you would like to learn about or questions that you have. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye, beautiful.